I can't believe it. It's Monday night at 7 o'clock Central Standard Time. I am God's comic Brad Stine. This is Brad Stine Has Issues where comedy, conservatism, and Christianity collide in a cacophony of clarity. This is another podcast, and tonight's guest, she has been on before. We're starting to get to a place where we're bringing guests back that people love, and this one is an actress that you might have remembered as the mother on Good Luck Charlie, which was the #1 sitcom on Disney a few years ago. Leigh Allen Baker. She's got 4 names. She's shooting for my favorite 4-named lady. I don't know if she's going to be able to overtake, but you'll see. Anyways, Leigh Allen Baker will be here tonight, and she's going to be talking about a new book she wrote and also the seedy underbelly of Disney and being on that network of doom. Why can you believe that Disney, who you grew up with, you loved, you couldn't wait to get on the Dumbo ride, you couldn't wait to get on Peter Pan, and now we've discovered he's just demon. It's satanic. Didn't see that coming. Why?
Yeah, honestly, I didn't either. I just thought Disney being an entertainment company was about entertaining, but joke's on me, I guess.
You know what, though? How many times did people make Satan entertaining? Think of all the movies or books or TV shows that uses Satan or demons, right?
Oh, yeah.
They make him, and they always make him kind of funny. He's kind of silly. He's, well, Satan. Yeah, he's always getting into something.
Yeah, that's because to those people, Satan is just mythology, not fact.
Right.
It'll be like saying, whenever people use like the Greek gods in something like that Disney Hercules movie, with all the Greek gods and stuff, like it's a mythology.
Yes,
you're allowed to interpret it however you want, basically.
But what's Greek mythology's version of Satan?
That's a good question. Because Hades is technically not the god of death.
Hades, I thought, is where you went.
No, well,
you had to cross the river Styx.
Yeah,
which is where Styx got their name.
but
and then you went to Hades.
Yeah, but Hades, the actual god in charge of there, wasn't the god of death. He was the god of the dead. There was a different one. So
do you think if somebody said they hate Hades, they thought that you...
Would you say that they Hades?
Yeah. No, that's what I'm getting at. If somebody said, I hate Hades, would they think that they had a speech impediment? Would that they had a what do you call it when you go... a stutter? You think they think you stutter? If they say, I hate Hades. Oh, he stuttered. And then they feel sad for you. I'm just curious.
It's just at that point pity. Like, yeah, okay, of course you do, buddy. You keep going. You'll get there one day.
Well, listen, I got to ask you a question, White. It is Monday. It's starting to get hot.
That's not a question.
Do you remember? Maybe it is. Have you ever noticed
I don't think so, actually.
No. Questions oftentimes are really only become a question with an upward lilt.
Yeah.
Let me give you an example.
Understand.
What did I say? I said, have you noticed? Wait, I said, have you noticed it's getting hot? That's a question.
Okay.
What did I say that you said wasn't a question?
You said it's Monday night at 7 p.m. That's not a question. That's a statement.
Yeah, I don't think I said. No, I think I said something else, and then you said that's not. It was funny at the moment.
Yeah, I understand,
but I don't think that was it.
You see, the thing is, your whole thing about like the upwards inflection.
Yeah.
Illustrates a question.
Yeah.
Congratulations, you know 5th grade grammar lessons. Inflections can help you figure out the context of a sentence. Good job.
But notice how you can make a sentence sound like a question with an upward lilt. I'll give you an example. I like soup. Declarative statement. But then you can do this. I like soup?
I like soup?
I like soup? 3 questions with the same 3 words, just putting the emphasis on one of the 3 words. Why, did you know the English language was that subtle?
Oh, yeah. I also like how in the English language, the sentence buffalo, 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 buffalo.
Yeah.
Buffalo, 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 buffalo is completely grammatically correct.
What do you mean by that?
I don't know. It's because buffalo has like 8 different like definitions. and all 8 of them are different parts of a sentence. Like, there's Buffalo the city.
Yeah.
I think Buffalo's a verb.
What do you mean? I was buffaloed.
Yeah, it's a noun, obviously. It's an adjective.
It's a beast. It's a city. I was confused or buffaloed.
Yep.
It's chicken wings.
Yep. So honestly, like English being a quote unquote subtle, easy to understand language. Yeah, there's a reason it's considered one of the hardest ones to learn.
Listen, I got to tell you something. I must be a genius because I learned English at 2. So maybe I'm ahead. Well, then I'm ahead of the curve because it's the hardest language, and yet I picked it up at 2. So that tells me I'm ahead of. I'm a genius, maybe, or I'm bordering on genius. I mean,
You're bordering on something, pal.
Adults come over here from other countries; they can barely speak English. I nailed it at 2. So I'm just saying.
Look, I work at.
Does
Lowe's.
that make me a genius?
I work at Lowe's. I think it does because I have met people who have probably been living here for 20, 30 years. Who cares? Who still can't speak the language?
Like what?
Usually it's a Mexican guy who's like, ham thing and wood. And I'm like, what? So, what do you need?
A ham thing.
Yeah, han thing. Wood, han net.
Oh.
What? And then 20 minutes of just this back and forth, and I'm like, oh, you need nails.
Ew.
It happens far more often than
I wonder what the word nail is in Spanish. What?
El nailo.
El nailo. That sounds kind of Italian too.
Well, I mean, yeah, isn't like doesn't Spanish or Italian derive from one or the other?
Latin.
Latin, yeah, Latin.
The Latin word.
Yeah,
Latin language. Mm-hmm. You know what else is Latin language?
Latin.
Yes. A lot of people forget that. They forget to add that to the category.
Yeah.
Now, listen, it's Monday night. You were at Lowe's. We might as well get it out of the way. Any Lowe's lore, anything that we just got to deal with? I know you've got some special 7 weeks of inventory where you have to go in and be there at 6 a.m. 3 days a week for 7 weeks. You're not used to that. I know you get up. I hear you crying. I hear you crying. I hear you stumbling.
No. I don't cry, but what happens is when my alarm goes off, I jolt out of bed like you tased me or something.
Why?
Because it's just a natural instinct I have. Whenever I hear the alarm, it's like for 10 seconds, I can't think. I just, at lightning speed, go to my phone and turn it off. And then after that, I'm like, oh, I'm up. Oh, well, I better go to work then.
But it's like it startles you awake, or you just feel like I just have to turn this off?
It's like the only other time I have ever experienced it was when Macy played that prank on me with the doll.
With the bloody doll that she put in her bed.
That's the only other time I have just run autonomously, I guess. It's like it's just instinct. You don't think, you just... One day you're here, and the other one you're halfway across the street. You got no idea what's going on, and the only question you have yourself is, "Man, do I really want to go into work today?"
Yeah, and you don't.
No one does.
No.
And I'm not gonna lie to you. Lowe's it's lost the magic. It's lost.
And it was so beautiful for so long. It was such a sweet thing. You'd come home, you smelled of Lowe's.
It's like
I remember you used to iron your apron. I remember that. Oh, that was it mattered to you. You put on the smell of sawdust. I remember, or the smell of paint.
Oh yes, my cologne, Eau de Sawdust.
Oh, it was so beautiful, and it mattered. I mean, it was a big. You were excited. I'm a big boy now. I've got a big job, and now you can't stand it.
Oh no, you kidding me? No, I'd drop it in a heartbeat if I could, but...
You think there's anybody out here in our podcast world that could give you a job?
Probably, yeah.
Should we ask him? Anybody out there want to give Wyatt a job?
Please, I'm desperate. I need
the money. Who owns their own company?
Nick Chris? Yeah, Nick Chris.
St. Nick owns his own air conditioning and heating installation business.
Oh, right, yeah.
So he's quite he's incredibly rich. I don't know if you people know that. If you're out there and you're a single woman out there, you're looking for a good man who loves God but is loaded. It's Nick Kress, Saint Nick. And, he plays it cool with it. He doesn't make a big deal about it. He doesn't go flashing around his money on his boat or on his yacht. He has them both. He carries his yacht on he's got a trailer. He's got a pickup trailer attached to his Corvette. I mean, this man is absolutely ostentatious, but I feel like good for him. I'm not complaining about it. I mean, if you have made it in the American dream, America's kind of dying. So grab the dream, hang on to it while you can. And Nick has done that. Matter of fact, let's say hi and see who's out there. You know who's number one, of course.
Not Chris.
You know who's number two in my case? Who's saying they're watching me? Oh my gosh!
Michael Quackenbush?
Yeah, the Bushquacker, and also Benjamin Gregory's back, and he's found out how to slot into this number one. So Nick still gets number one. I don't know why. We'll never know, but it's still funny that he did it. But Quackenbush, or the Bushquackers, we know him, Benjamin Gregory, when they were these three have horned themselves in, and they are up there with the Nick saying, "Hey, just make one mistake. Just make one mistake, and you'll be gone, Saint Nick." You know who else is here? DM Herring. DM Herring. You know who that is, right?
Isn't that a fish?
Yeah, but what kind of fish would be frozen
freshwater
in a Canadian bunker?
Oh, Canadian fugitive.
Hey.
How could I forget?
Hey, thought I'd tune in before Trudeau comes to take me to jail for declaring my faith in Jesus Christ. Yeah, good old Trudeau. Isn't he sweet? You know who Trudeau is, right, Wyatt?
Trudeau, more like true no. I don't want him.
Hey, Karen Boyd said, "Hey, Aaron." Marcia Pointer Reed. "Good evening, Brad and White and all my Monday comrades." We're not really communists. I'm going to be pretty. We have a community, but we're not communists. So let's not go with the comrade.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Is the next comment from Ashley Haas saying Dan with a heart?
Yes.
And then the one after that is Nick Kress saying I'm Ron Burgundy. That's odd. Do you know what this means? For the first time in this podcast's history, we're looking at the same comments. It's like we did it.
You think Nick fixed it?
Maybe his expertise in HVAC has.
Danny. Oh, it doesn't say Dan. It says Danny, but the I gets mixed in with the numerous exclamation points, so it got pulled in. It's not Dan, it's Danny. She's saying hi to our poor hidden Canadian, Ashley Haas. I have seen. I think she was here last week. Has she been on this before?
Maybe. Wasn't she the roofer who fell and tragically
and sued us?
Yeah. How's the litigation coming out of the way?
I got rid of it. She was from Portugal, so I just had her deported. It was easy. You can laugh, but that's what I did.
It's so easy nowadays, huh?
Yes. Marcia Pointer Reed's saying Psalm 107, 1 through 2. She is memorizing all these things. You need to know that. Karen Boyd said, "Be safe, Donnie." The Bushwhacker, "You need someone to come up and help y'all make a stand." Oh, look, Bushwhacker. Now he came to the show. We brought him up last, because he's Special Forces. So we showed him meet me at the show last week, and he's a Special Force, so he has all the gear. But here's the thing: he was a former policeman. Did I mention that? So he's ready to go jump in with Danny. I love that. Hey, by the way, Jeff Hayes says Tartarus was the Greek mythology version of hell. The Elysian Fields was heaven. So, see, Jeff knows. We should have asked him in the first place.
I mean, we should always remember from now on that Jeff Hayes is the authority of Greek mythology.
Well, let's go to him. Let's use him as our thesaurus.
Absolutely, yeah. He's got nothing better to do. He's watching this podcast.
DM Herring said, "Hi, Ashley and Karen." Thank you, Karen. It's getting crazy in Canada. Let's see.
And you know what the next comment says?
What?
Nothing.
Stan Simpson, hi, all happy Monday. Michael Wayne Wilson, hey there, Brad. Mike in Depot Bay, Oregon.
Wait, are you getting more comments? Because mine ends there.
No. I got the Bushquacker, you know I am. Ashley Haas says, "You want to bring snacks." Benjamin Gregory finally showed up. Have you located the wrenches yet, Wyatt? If so, have you locked them in place so you don't lose them? He always takes you to the task. True. Jeff Hayes, Italian, French, and Portuguese are also derived from Latin. There he goes. See, apparently he is semantically inclined as well as Greek mythology inclined. What he is doing, though, is that's a little off-putting, is showing off. Showing off how smart he is. I'm not used to that way. I'm used to being the smartest guy in the room.
I mean, to be fair, you don't have much competition.
That's for sure. I like Nutty Buddies. That says Michael Quackenbush. El Clavo equals Nail Wyatt. Oh, El Clavo equals Nail Wyatt. Martillo equals hammer. So now suddenly Karen speaks Spanish. Wyatt, they should just take over the podcast because every question we've asked ourselves, our people had to tell us.
You know what? Why don't I just clock in at Lowe's tomorrow? Cover my shift for me, you know so much.
I know it. Hey, damn, Herring said, Ashley Haas, yes, all I can find is possum near the bunker, the moose and the deer running from the black flies. Let's see. Nick Kress, I got to get down to Nashville and try to stump Wyatt at Lowe's. Ha ha. Let's see.
Good luck. There were many questions I've been asked. I've answered them all.
Wyatt, where's the PVC pipe?
That's going to be aisle 31.
Wyatt, monkey wrench.
Monkey wrench? That's going to be either electrical aisle 6 or the aisle 59 toy area.
Okay.
Aisle 12.
Oh, yes, I knew it. Let's see.
You always ask for the paint. Last question. It's your thing.
Karen Boyd, wrenches is too hard in Spanish. Benjamin Gregory, Texas is full of jobs that aren't Lowe's. Let's see. Aaron Oakes is here. Nick, saith he. The government says they love small businesses, but taxes say the opposite. That's Nick Kress. Let's see. Hey there, everybody. Almost didn't make it. I'm here. Greg Smith is, in fact, here. Hades is the god of the underworld, so he is the god of the underworld. Maybe you were right, Wyatt. I don't know. Well, listen, I got to tell you, I am curious about this guy this week. He was a kicker for Kansas City. Have you ever heard of Kansas City, Wyatt?
Isn't that in like Missouri or something?
Well, both. There's a Kansas City, Kansas, and a Kansas City, Missouri.
I was joking. Isn't that how there's like a Paris, Texas or something?
There is.
Why?
And there's a Texas, Paris.
Why can't we just leave names where they belong?
Maybe it's none of your business, son.
Maybe it isn't. Maybe it is. I'm annoyed either way.
Do you know that part of the way we came up with your name was the little town that I was born in, Bremen, Indiana, driving up to South Bend where Notre Dame is? You pass through two little tiny towns. I mean tiny. I'm talking about, I don't know, 38 people. I mean, ridiculous.
That's not a town. That's a settlement at that point.
Yeah. Well, guess what? One of them was named Wyatt.
So I'm named after an
inconsequential town in
completely
Indiana
out of
that people pass and only stop for the vending machine.
Probably so small it doesn't even appear on the map.
Well, no, it's on the map.
Even GPS is like, you want to go there? Hike 5 feet or get to a place with double the population.
Yeah, I'll lend you $5 and you actually go do something. Listen,
that's what I'm named. That's great to hear.
Did I tell you guys that this weekend I'm going to be in Side Splitters in Tampa, Florida, this Saturday and Sunday? Side Splitters. It's a comedy club. I used to go there when I did comedy clubs back in the day before I started doing churches and really full-blown just ministry work as a comic. But I used to go to Side Splitters, loved it. And Bobby Jewell used to own it, and he'd come in, and we just had a great time together. And loved it. It's in Tampa, Florida, and always loved working in Florida. My first TV show in a comedy show, which was talked about, I think, when I had Tom Ryan on, was in Tampa for Showtime Comedy Club Network. But that was shot in Tampa too. But anyways, I'm going to be there this Saturday and Sunday. So if you are a church in Tampa, people there, show up, buy tickets, come in, fill it up. Let's show them that we will support Christian conservative comedy. It's called Laugh While It's Legal. I'd say get your little hind ends, your holy hind ends, into Side Splitters this Saturday and Sunday. Tampa, Florida. You're going to love it. Please tell all of your friends. Please, if you have friends over there that you can send them Facebook messaging or whatnot, so get over there. Seriously, this is what the Mighty 10,000 is. It's people that show up for what I'm doing because I'm trying to be able to be of some service and make some sort of impact. So I need us to show that we sort of support each other, show up. And I really need your help. I want us to be able to, anywhere we go, sell it out. And people just go, who are these people? What are they all about? We need to show that we're making progress. Now, why do I say that? Well, just for an example, I have told you guys for some time now that what's at stake is the end of America's freedom. Now, it will end when religious liberties end. once you can no longer have conscience, then you certainly can't have thoughts, ideas, words, free speech. You're gone. You're arrested. You're going to jail. You voted for the wrong party. We control you. That's where we're at. You all know what's happening. But we had a guy that was a kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs. He's a Catholic. He did a Catholic convocation. What do you call it? When you speak at when people are finishing college and walking up with the hat.
Yeah.
And they give a speech.
Graduation speech?
Yeah, but there's like a...
Is there a name for that?
I cannot believe...
I never pay attention to them, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess it's...
Well, I guarantee you,
talk.
10 people are about to say what it is, and then I'm going to go, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, I forgot. Okay, it doesn't matter.
You know what? They're going to say the answer in Spanish, too.
Here's what, yeah, well, that'll be Karen Boyd because she shows off. Well, here's the thing, guys. He took all this heat. They said he needs to be kicked off the team because he's sexist, he's backwoods, he's backwards. So to hate Christians is de rigueur in America. You must hate us, and you should, because Jesus is hated when you hate us. He said, they hated me first. You hate Jesus. You are going to pay a price you can't imagine to jettison. The only way for you not to burn eternally is to accept Christ, and you say, don't want anything to do with it. So I have nothing but sympathy for you, because you are by far, without a doubt, the biggest buffoon, the fool of all fools to not accept Christ as your Savior. It's the end. I don't care if you're Jewish, he's your Messiah. Some said, I get it. That was the original church. Some abandoned him. That's how it is. There are those of you who have chosen other prophets who said something that didn't come to pass, which is Joseph Smith. So he's a false prophet. LDS, of course, is a cult. It is a false Jesus. You are not going to heaven. This is how it works. It is not me. It's what it means to actually believe in the actual Jesus who actually died and rose from the dead, the only one who's ever done that in human history. No other religion has that claim, has a historical proof that their founder said, I'm God, died, came back to life. Everybody saw it and they said, I get it. I'm in. Nobody but that. That's why it's the truth. The end. There's nothing to talk about, nothing to get confused about. It's that easy. So this guy gets on and he talks to these folks about just their life as Catholics and trying to serve God and trying to do things. And he talks about Joe Biden saying he's a Catholic. And then he gives the sign of the cross at an abortion clinic where they're butchering, mutilating babies into death, killing them. And then gives the sign of the cross. That's heresy. That's blasphemy. I mean, but we know Joe Biden's character and his fruit. He ain't a Catholic. He ain't a Christian. That's obvious. That has nothing to do with my making some sort of self-righteous judgment. We're allowed to look at people's fruit and see if they are one of us or not. It's that easy. And so I hope he repents and gets Christ and actually becomes a man of God instead of pretending. But they said that he was backwards, and it always has to do with somehow women. And I found one little excerpt from his speech. Here's what he said exactly. For the ladies present today, congratulations on an amazing accomplishment. First thing he said, hey, ladies, great job. You made it. You graduated. Anything wrong there? I don't see it. You should be proud of all that you've achieved at this point in your young lives. Oh, he didn't say, yeah, why are you even here? Women shouldn't be going to college. You should be proud. I want to speak directly to you briefly because I think it is you, the women, who've had the most diabolical lies told to you. How many of you are sitting here now about to cross the stage and are thinking about all the promotions and titles you're going to get in your career? Right? A lot of you, they got who knows, a bachelor's degree, who knows what, in certain sciences or engineering or whatever. See, they want to run a company. And he said, good for you. Go get your company, do what you need to do. But he said, how many of you thinking about getting these promotions and titles are going to go get your career? Some of you may go on to lead successful careers in the world. Good for you. Some of you may go out and be multi-billionaire career women. That's the single most important part of your womanhood. Going to start a business and running it, because that's what makes you who you are, by making money in a business. And he said, some of you got to do that. But I would venture to guess that the majority of you are most excited about your marriage, the children you will bring into this world. I can tell you that my beautiful wife, Isabel, would be the first to say that her life truly started when she began living her vocation as a wife and as a mother. So, I just want to make it very clear. He did not say all of you women should be having children and being a mother. He didn't say that how dare you want to be a business and stay single and simply serve yourself and your desires. He didn't say any of that. He said, good for you, do what you want. But I know there's a lot of you who are not given permission to say, you know what I really want to do? I just want to be a mother and have children and be a wife. That to me is fulfillment. And you're not allowed the privilege of that choice without being mocked, ridiculed, maligned by people who claim that Christians are backwards. We're backwards because we want women to have a choice to be wives and mothers. And that makes us backwards. We're backwards because we don't allow ourselves to think only like progressive leftists who believe that your ability to make money, to be given a status is so important. Now, when you die and you go to hell, and I bring up hell because it is the ultimate punishment for not accepting Jesus Christ as your Savior. It's a big dang deal. So I say to you, I don't care if I'm rich or poor, a man or a woman. In the end, if you have a gigantic mansion with 500 rooms and 60 yachts and a helicopter, and you can fly to Cannes, and you can fly to your getaway and have lobster every day and caviar and $10,000 bottles of champagne, it's just something to drink and something to eat. It's just a room. I don't care how many rooms you have in your house. You can only live one at a time. I don't care how many boats you get in. It's just floating on water. I don't really care how expensive your car is. It's just moving from here to here. In the end, all of these trappings of what it means to be successful is just surviving until you die. It's not a big deal. It's absurd to think that I'm on an island, sitting in a beach, drinking my margarita in this famous place. I'm a multi-billionaire with my giant yacht. Who cares? You're going to die forever. It's no big deal. But what is so spectacularly destructive and despicable is these filthy rich, and I've never said that before. I don't care how rich you are. You've achieved something, you deserve that. But these people, the Bill Gates, the Zuckerbergs, the Google guy, the Amazon guy, Bezos. I'm talking about billions of dollars beyond what anybody could ever spend. More money. That's just absurd amount of money. You got it. You earned it. So it's yours. But what is so horrific about these human beings is they think they can rule us. Because I'm so rich, I got nothing left to do but to literally rule the world. I'll decide who gets to win in a presidential election. I'll get to decide who gets to go to jail and who doesn't. I can do whatever I want. I'll never be arrested. I will never be charged. Nothing will happen to me. I got too much money. That is as despicable, as demonic, as evil as it is. And there will be a reckoning day for these men that they can't even imagine. And they deserve it. Because it's evil to think you're better than others. That's a godlike approach, and that is taking God off the throne, and there is no coming back from that one. The evil that we're seeing on this earth by these ultra-rich, the oligarchs and the technocrats that literally want to rule the world. I mean, Gates continually wants to tell us how we can eat, what we can eat, how much farmland we can have, if we're allowed to have meat. Who the heck do you think you are? You can't be more sickeningly arrogant than that. And I know he'll never see this. I'm nobody, but that's the point. Hey, Bill, you're nobody too. You just have money, but you're nobody. Just a guy that's going to die and melt away. You're going to die soon. You're what? You're 60? You don't got a lot of time left, and you're going to die forever. Your money is not going to be there. You have made the biggest bargain with Satan, and you have lost it all. When you start dampening the sun, because you've decided that we need to bring down the CO2. CO2, by the way, that makes all the plants grow, blow up. The demonic oppression that has been unleashed, and COVID, of course, exposed it all, as we've talked about in numerous occasions. Man, it's out in the open now. All these actors and actresses who are full-blown Satanists. I mean, I always thought it was conspiracy. They really worship Satan. This is real. We are in a cartoon, and I guess we always were. But now we know it. Now we see it. Now it's all there for all of us to see and be aware of. So this guy, as a Catholic, at a small Catholic college, said, some of you want to be mothers, and it's going to be the greatest thing you do because it's how God designed you to be. It really is. I mean, I don't understand. If you think about years ago, when men went to war, it was just to survive. And then they could come home and they try to plant and feed. This was just to survive. You know, there was no sense of accomplishment because, you know, all you're trying to do is get rich. You were just trying to feed your family and have a place where you could get in and not die of freeze to death or overheat. Life was hard. It was a day-to-day grind, and there was no refrigerator, and there was no store. You had to make it happen, or you died. Life for most of human history has been difficult. And the simplicity of the love between a man and a woman and a husband and a wife, and that oneness, and having children, and just being within that community is a shadow of God Almighty saying, this is my bride, my church, and you're my children. And he's just given us tastes, just tiny tastes of what the eternity is, which is all we're shooting for. We're just kind of passing through this bridge to get to the truth. And everybody suddenly has decided that women to have babies, which is this miraculous, amazing, I will never even be able to experience that. I'm a man. I will never get pregnant. Can't know what it's like to have a human inside of me. I can't even imagine the incredible honor women were given to do that, to bring life. To demean that, to lessen that, to reduce that. And at the worst, at the very basic, not just honor women, said, I want to be that. Can you give me my dignity and respect? No. And it's usually from women who are very successful, very rich, and very alone, and will never have children, and they realize what they've done, and so they just want to tear everybody else down because they made a mistake. They sold everything for status, and in the end, when you don't have those children to say, Mama, and you don't have that beauty, you realize, I got nothing. I got nothing. I don't understand why people would be so evil towards a man who went to his fellow Catholics and said, this is what matters to us. It is the ultimate design of God Almighty that we serve. And go be that, ladies. It'll be the most amazing thing you've ever done. And it'll make the man so grateful that you are watching over his kids so he can go make you some money, so you can eat and survive and love and be together and just cherish the community of family. That's enough. While we say thank you, God, for what you've given to us. When you watch your country die and you expect it. I've always been a patriot and love this nation, and so I never expected to know that I'd see the death of America. I didn't know. I mean, I guess every culture has its ups and downs, ebbs and flows. Roman, destroyed, the empire, British Empire, gone. So there's no reason to be blown away that America is not going to be a superpower. It's going to be destroyed, and then that'll be the end of it for Earth. It's got to be the end of the world, folks. It's got to be the end of the world. It's got to be the end of it. God is wrapping it up because we are the only superpower that can stop China, can stop Russia, whatever, and free. And so once we're no longer free, well, nobody's going to protect freedom anymore because nobody can. And China, of course, is an evil empire, not the people. There's amazing Christians in China, amazing people in China who do not like the oppression, but the government is evil. If there was any true caring about truth and freedom in on Earth, people would shut China down immediately. The rest of the world would say, "No, you get nothing," and shut them down. And the evil they've done to the, how do you pronounce it? Uyghur Muslims, taking their organs and enslaving them. I mean, the civil rights And oh, by the way, the pollution that China and India puts into the earth, they're never ever going to cut their carbon taxes, but we are because we want to commit suicide, and we are. The West is killing itself, and the only reason that would make sense is if Marxism, which is the undergirding of the critical theory that's caused all the wokeism, says that capitalism is bad and that private property is bad, and so we're going to become owned by the state, and then the state will be self-appointed. That state will butcher you, mutilate you, rape you, kill you, burn you, bury you, hang you, and there'll be no way out of that until somebody else usurps them and butchers them. Listen, this is the world's turning into a hell pot, folks. It really is. It's really, really. God is going to have to do something quick. Either come and take us out of here, or he's going to have to intervene, give us an awakening. I don't know. I have righteous indignation when it comes to my fellow Christian brothers and sisters being attacked. I have righteous indignation. Those are my people. That's my brother and sister. I'm going to defend them, their honor, their dignity. My God's honor and dignity. I will defend it. Yeah, I will. There was 12 disciples. One would put his head on Jesus's bosom, right? And the other one would cut people's ears off. I'm from the ear-cutting tribe. Sorry, folks. That's how I was made. And I just don't want to see it. I don't want to see freedom go, free speech go. That's why I called this Laugh While It's Legal, my latest comedy. I love free speech. I love people who hate what I have to say, be able to say it. I don't like what they say, and I certainly don't like it when they disparage Christ, because it's blasphemy. He's God. He's everything to me. I find it as a tender, beautiful, sacred person, God man, and so it means everything, and so it's very difficult for me to not be deeply irritated by that. And yet God says, it's okay, son. I let them do that too. They can disagree with me. They can hate me. They have to. They're not wise. The fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. When you are an atheist, you cannot be wise. You can't be because you don't fear God. So there's no wisdom with you. So it just bothered me. This guy didn't do anything but just said, hey, ladies, go have this amazing life. And all he is lambasted. And if there's been some people stood up for him, but and my prayers that Kansas City would just wants one of these. That's why I haven't watched football. You guys do. It shocks me that you're still watching the NFL after the BLM thing. I haven't watched it because of this. Kansas City Chiefs should be up there saying, hey, man, this is his life. It's his religious belief. We back him 100%. He can believe whatever he wants. They never do that. Never do. They'll do it for Black Lives Matter, not for this Christian guy. You guys are still watching NFL, though, aren't you? I'll bet you're watching NBA too, huh? Yeah. That's not what the Mighty 10 is about. I'll say no, we don't watch junk like this anymore. We're done. We're not doing it. We're not getting my money. I'm not going to advertise with you. I'm not going to allow you to slit my wrist. But it's okay because I enjoy the game. I can't believe what, the people that continue to want to talk about their faith, talk about the sacrifice. But when they have to sacrifice something that they really want to do, let's make an excuse. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe the Mighty 10,000 is a big joke. Because when it comes to what discipline should be expected of my people, nobody had to join it. You can watch this podcast all day long. You can go join the Militia of Mine. I'll contact you all the way. Nobody has to join the Mighty 10,000. It's $3 a month. You don't have to do it. You're here. I'll be with you. I'll love on you. I'll joke with you. I'll try to inspire you all day long. But I said, if you want to join us, this is what we are. We're disciplined disciples. We don't watch stuff that pays to disparage Jesus like the Dodgers did last year when they allowed that fake Catholic nuns who disparage us to come on their family day. I've been a Dodger fan since I was through. I took 3 years old. My dad's dead. He gave me the Dodgers, something I had left for him. I took my Dodger. I said, no, if I'm consistent, I'm done with the Dodgers. Guys, my whole life, that's been my team. I gave it away because it's no big deal. Jesus is. And my mighty 10 people. What have you sacrificed for God, for your faith, for your country? We're dying. But hey, at least you got to watch the game. Folks, this next guest is great. She's a true trooper. She's a mighty 10. She's a great actress. She wrote a great book that we're going to be showing you and giving away for some of you who answer some of the questions. And she's been on before, and she's great. She's a believer, and she has paid the price for her faith. She's paid the price. Cost her career, basically, for standing up for it. When she came and moved to Tennessee from L.A., she went to the Williamson County School Board and talked about the mask mandates and whatever. Cost her everything. Her even former actors that were with Good Luck Charlie abandoned her, just like J.K. Rowling's being abandoned by the actors that she made multimillionaires because she believes that women are women and men are men. Like I said, guys, I love you. I'm so grateful you come on here every Monday, but it just, I don't know. I'm realizing how little people are willing to sacrifice for any of this. So, anyways, I don't know. Sorry. We gotta be warriors. We gotta be warriors. And it hurts to be a warrior. It's hard. It's hard. Costs you stuff. You have to give crap away. You don't get what you want. You get what God has asked of you. And it's starting to chip away at the things that matter to you, that you hang on to. You got to start sort of giving them away for the big picture, for the big picture, for the big picture. Think about what all the money it's made in the NFL, billions, and what they support. It's certainly not your faith. It's the antithesis. Why would you watch that? I don't understand. I don't understand it. So maybe there will never be a mighty 10,000 because maybe there aren't 10,000. Maybe there's 1,000. Maybe there's 100. Maybe there's 10. This guest is wonderful. You're going to love this interview. And maybe she'll inspire you guys. I know some of you out there are hanging in there. I pray before I sit down at this table with my son. I said, Lord, give me a prophet's anointing to say what's supposed to be said, what needs to be done, and that we can have some good times, but that it inspires people. Never know what's coming out of my mouth. I certainly don't plan it, don't script it. I just wanted to talk about this guy that just referenced how women should be grateful for this amazing opportunity to be a mom and a wife, and that he's just insulted and maligned and told to lose his job because of that. I didn't know I was going to go off into this other stuff, but just the realization that even watching this show on Mondays, it's like it's a getaway for some of y'all. It's entertainment, and I want you to be entertained and enjoy yourself. But in the end, I want you to be changed so you're a warrior and you never act the same again. You are a disciple, and people can't be around you and not know that you're different. When you say what you stand for and they see you living it, they are either inspired or need to separate themselves from you because you're too much. You're too dangerous. But for some of you, they'll come sit at your feet and say, teach me about this Jesus. I need to know him. Enjoy this opportunity to listen to this incredible woman of faith and courage. And maybe some of you will end up with her signed book. You'll see what I mean as you go watch Brad Stine, Leigh Allen Baker on Brad Stine Has Issues.
Ta-da!
Yeah, she's magic.
And I appeared.
She's so neat. Now, I do want to ask you about that because when you look at your name, it would be like Leigh Allen Baker, but then there's a Leigh Allen Baker Kaufman.
Yeah, so my
Very
maiden
confusing.
name and professional name is Leigh Allen Baker. But I married this guy named Keith Kaufman.
And he's like saying, can you tag that on?
Pick a name.
Can I get some prompts for my name?
Yeah.
See how they are?
I usually for work just use Leigh Allen Baker.
Is your first name Leigh Allen?
Yes.
So it's a double name. So that's a Southern kind of thing.
It is a Southern thing.
You from the South?
Yes, I'm from Kentucky.
It all becomes crystal clear.
See, I kind of moved back home.
Okay.
I'm about 2 hours from where I grew up.
What part of Kentucky?
Murray, Kentucky.
Okay, Murray. Murray State.
Yes.
Okay, I performed for them many years ago, and they gave me a Murray State baseball jersey with my name on the back and whatnot. And Kentucky is a very pretty state. They got a lot of great lakes. I like
it's
lakes.
Beautiful.
Yes. Do you have a lake house? You have to because you're a rich, famous person.
No.
Wait a minute.
When you work with Disney, you're not a rich, famous person.
What?
You're just a famous person.
Wait a minute.
Yes.
What about all the royalties that come pouring in?
You don't get them.
What?
You don't get them.
But it's Disney.
You don't get
It's
them.
the happiest place on earth, Leanne.
It is. And you don't get that.
Okay. Well, you have to get something, but there is a union from what I understand. But maybe it's not quite the robust.
No, it's not even robust. It is.
Well, you can't get nothing.
No, it's so minimal. So basically what happened was, Disney, the way it worked, I'll never forget. I had done, when I was pregnant, I had guest starred on Hannah Montana a couple of times.
You were pregnant. I didn't know they did that.
Yeah.
But you were married.
Yes.
To a Kaufman.
Yes.
Who demanded his name be attached.
No, he's not a demanding man.
He demanded his name be attached.
No, he didn't. Don't listen to him.
Okay.
Okay, so I remember we were at work one day and the AFTRA rep came in. And on my contract, it said you would get standard AFTRA residuals. And when I'd guest starred on Hannah Montana, I got really good residuals. And then this woman said something about a prepayment on residuals. And everyone else was like, yeah. And I was like, I'm sorry. What did you say about our residuals?
Yeah.
Because my contract says, that there's standard after residuals that is a separate is outlined in a separate contract between AFTRA and Disney. And what that meant is that anything over minimum wage was considered a prepayment on a residual. So in other words, a person who guest stars on Good Luck Charlie, by the end, after they've run them all, made the same amount for that show that I did. So I would just get a chunk up front, and then they would consider that anything over minimum wage a prepayment on my residuals.
A chunk up from in addition to your salary, to your.
No.
Oh.
Yes.
Huh. Is that
That's exactly the look I made. It was like, oh, I even had a meeting with them and let's talk about the elephant in the room.
But no, the elephant in the room is they never recoup. That's the oldest game in the book. Anybody that's ever been in feature films, you'll start making a profit, but we got to recoup first, which they never do. Magically, the bookkeeper says, I don't know. I know we spent $5 million, but listen, we had the marketing, and it's like you have no way to.
Anytime someone says money on the back end, and I can keep track of one of the films that was released in theaters pretty recently. I can keep track of how that's doing, and
which one is it?
I'm not going to say because I like those people.
Well, and they may not be ripping you. I look. It's a rough, wicked business, unfortunately, and it shouldn't be because it's the arts, and the arts are God's. He's the one that created stories and storytelling and mythologies and all the beautiful things that have allowed humans to tell their stories for eons. That's how we've always kept the human race invigorated, as we tell our stories. Here's who we were. Here's what happened. This beast came and we beat it, and the men came together and the women cooked the thing, and then you would tell the story, and you would continue to tell the story, and it told you who you were. Yeah. You knew who you were as a people, as a tribe, as a group, and it gave you solidarity and a sense of community to your elders. And I'm not trying to get in some weird philosophical depth, but it is important because the storytelling is the story of life. The Bible is a big, giant story about how the world works and who God is and how we got here and what's going on.
Yeah, I kind of think it's a little more than just a story. Some of it is absolute darn right nitty-gritty happening. Living, breathing.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, story is history.
Yeah.
I mean, if we tell the story of World War II, it's not about pretend. It really happened. But we weren't in the middle of it. Well, we are now.
Yeah.
We are now. And I'm going to get to your book. Before we do the book, I'm going to get somewhere else. But I want you guys to know what we're here to talk about, as well as just talking about her, because she was a great guest the first time, which was shocking.
Hey, you didn't see that comment, did you?
No.
You didn't, because you were like, can we keep talking?
I couldn't believe your philosophy or your presuppositional worldview. I mean, I knew you were a Christ follower. We're going to have that in common. But you had a lot of other angles that I just didn't understand and didn't know that are costly.
Yeah, it's very costly.
They're costly angles because there's things that are simply not to be said. Or believed, or implied,
or questioned, which is the most ridiculous thing in the world. If you can't ask a question, something is afoot, my friends.
Yeah, yep. Well, speaking of a foot, this little princess has one. It's a small little foot.
It's a tiny little.
Yeah, it is. But it's called One Small Little Voice, and it's a beautiful illustrated book. It's a children's book. It's a princess book, but I mean. Would boys like this? Would little boys like this?
Absolutely. And it's one in a series of books that take place on Freedom Island with Brave Books. So there's this whole land, and you can subscribe to get these books, or you can purchase this one individually. But you can subscribe to get these books, and you get a new one every month. And these kids go on adventures with it, and there's stickers that you can place on a map, and there's all of these interactive things to do with your children. And they all are really great, incredible lessons.
Yeah.
And the lesson in this one is being brave, finding your courage, even in the scary moments, doing what it takes anyway. Even if you are the only voice standing up, speaking truth, be that one. Be that one. And my favorite line in this one, I don't want to butcher it, but...
Well, you wrote it.
I did write it.
So there's no butchery.
Right, okay. For it takes just one voice to stand up for many, then many will join and be voices of plenty. So when fear starts to creep in, stare it right in the face. Make courage contagious, brave up, stand in grace. So it is the whole lesson of there may be a little pandemic undercurrent. There may be a little pandemic subtext going on throughout here where the evil person comes in to take over the land and sprays it with this purple fog, and the people are so afraid they all hide in their homes and no one makes a sound.
So you were just determined to destroy your mainstream career in the Hollywood
I mean, every time I find a shovel, I just start digging. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, but here's something I kind of want to bounce off of what you just said. You had a very particular word that you wanted to talk about. You just said, for it takes just one voice to stand up for the many. True. Then many will join and be voices of plenty.
It's true. I believe it.
It is true that would be the end goal.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the hope.
Mm-hmm.
And here's what I've learned, and I know you do too, but we're going to talk about it because it's crucial.
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed that human beings love to read about courageous stories.
Mm-hmm.
They love to read about, I don't know, Paul Revere racing around. The British are coming, he does it alone. They love The Emperor's New Clothes.
Yeah.
They're all just bowing. You look at the wonderful, your wardrobe, how did you, the silk and the gold trim, and how did one little boy, and everybody reads that, Leigh Allen, they go, that would have been me.
Yeah, no.
I would have been the little boy that stood alone and said, I'm going to call out the king. And everybody fell into this awareness of he's broken the spell. We're supposed to have done this. What was wrong? Why did it take this innocent child to speak these voices? So we all want that story. We want to be that hero.
Right.
Until it's our turn to actually be all alone amongst the mob. And suddenly courage becomes very real because it's dangerous and it's threatening.
It doesn't mean that you're not afraid. It doesn't mean that there's an absence of fear. It means that even though you are afraid, even though you can feel the fear in every fiber of your being, you do it anyway.
Yes. And I'm not going to question that for a second, because I saw you do it during the cult of Corona. I did it in my little way. I told you this probably the last time, but I literally filmed myself in 2020 when the Black Plague was upon us.
Yes.
So this is when they had full control because we still kind of didn't know what was going on. And I walked down Chicago O'Hare Airport alone, no mask, filming myself to watch all the zombies behind me, just thinking I would inspire somebody.
Yeah, isn't that funny? I thought the same thing too. I thought surely if it's so deadly that you're going to die without this piece of cloth over your mouth, that surely if I go out in the air and I breathe and don't die and I'm healthy, surely other people would be like, oh, wait a second, it's a
Yeah.
scam. But they
Right.
didn't.
No, they doubled down.
Yeah.
Now you're evil.
Yeah, I'm a murderer. I'm a murderer.
I have a vaccine, 3 boosts, and the mask, but your non-mask is going to kill me.
Yeah.
So nothing that you did was effective. Nothing that you did to bow the knee to bail and do exactly what was demanded of you to be administered to you, what to wear, what to inject, what
how
to ingest,
far to stand
how to
apart
speak,
from another
how
person?
far.
Like they put, guys, let me just say this very slowly. They put circles on the floor and told you had to stand there. And they put a piece of plexiglass in front of someone checking you out. Or my favorite was if you went the wrong direction in the supermarket.
Oh, yeah.
It's, to me, it's the funniest thing. It's hilarious.
It is funny. Humor is designed to mock the ludicrous.
It was absolutely insane.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
But you couldn't get it by touching things that other people had touched or spit on or anything.
No. And if you needed to eat and remove the masks,
It
you were
was
immune.
no longer contagious.
Because it saw.
Yeah.
It's, oh, you're going to eat? Well, I'll let you eat.
Yeah.
But as soon as you're done eating, did you swallow? Get the mask back. Now I'm attacking.
Yeah, my favorite was we would go into a restaurant. They would want us, of course, I wouldn't put a mask in. I just walk in like I own the place and sit down. And people knew just, oh, let's not mess with her.
Yeah, she's probably crazy.
Yeah, well, it was uncomfortable to confront me, even though I would have been very polite. They'd rather just not bother. That's why they wore the mask. See, the same reason that they wouldn't stop me from not wearing one is the reason that they were wearing one. Because no one wants to be uncomfortable having a conversation. Because people really don't know how to communicate much anymore.
No.
You know, but I remember going to a restaurant and my kids being like, the floor is Rona. It was like the floor is lava. It's
Yeah,
like,
right.
When you were up walking on the floor, you could get Rona. But if you were sitting at your table, you didn't have to wear a mask. And
No, well, and I actually have a whole joke about that in my latest material. But I said, why were we so frightened by a virus, so stupid it couldn't find you when you sat down?
Yes.
Because you could stand, you need it, but when you sat down with that outlet, you're literally free.
And so highly contagious and deadly that you must have a test that goes all the way up your nose to your brain to see if you might or might not have it.
Yes. And you cannot escape it. You cannot get away with it. You cannot get around it. You cannot avoid it. It is everywhere. It is insidious. It is going to kill, destroy, and maim everybody in its wake, unless you're in a riot. Then it's frightened by rioters. Now, ironically, because it was a peaceful protest during the burnings and the looting, peacefully looting, to see the revelation of the clear manipulation of reality, you would think would make people say, I want to speak the voice of courage so that others will join in. I did it in my own tiny little way. You did it in your own tiny little way. And that was what I was referencing with this.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's beautiful. Obviously, it's what is the gold standard. It is not what people do, Leigh Allen. They're not courageous.
No,
They're
some people
not.
are. Some people are.
Yeah.
I think that some people are. I think that if they, and they're going to try to do it again, I'm sure.
Of course.
They're already talking about it. Like, they'll tell you what they're going to do.
Yeah.
I don't think people will fall for it. I have faith in humanity. I don't believe people will fall for it as much. And I know some people are not as brazen or not as bold and don't want to speak publicly because they're afraid. But I just have one thing, if you don't mind, to say to those people.
Please.
We're in the same line. You're just a couple people behind me. So like the control, the authority, the totalitarian thumb that's coming down, the hammering that you see me taking, it's not a big deal. You really can't cancel someone. It's not a thing. They want you to think it's a thing.
Right.
It's really not. But anyway, that line that I'm in for speaking the truth. So you're a couple people right behind me. So if everyone would just take a step forward and lock arms and say it together, we would have a very different outcome. In fact, I just would like to prep everyone. My suggestion, you don't have to take it, it's just a suggestion, it's not medical advice, is for the next pandemic that they bring up, that everyone just treats it like they did the H1N1 pandemic and just turn off the TV and go about your life and put down the phone and the social media.
Well, wasn't it interesting to watch how suddenly that disappeared?
That disappeared.
The panic is here. The panic. Panic because look, and we're going to need suits of armor.
No one had social media at the
never
time.
mind.
No social media. Facebook was just getting going, and so no one paid attention to it.
Yeah.
This time, not only did they pay attention to it because it was constantly on a social media stream, but they got a lot smarter at how they were going to do it. So they made it into a cultural thing.
Yeah.
You're a kind person.
Yeah.
You care about others if you do this. You don't care about my kids if you try to lock them down in a communist one world order takeover. You don't care about my kids.
No.
So as much as you're offended by me not wearing a mask, I'm offended that you would try to enslave my kids, your kids, and the rest of humanity. That offends me.
But that goes back to what I'm talking about. When you care nothing about liberty, when you don't care about it, you care about safety, you care about, I want to be able to eat, and I want to have a roof over my head, and I don't want to be inconvenienced, and I don't want to not be safe. So I will give you whatever you want of my dignity, as long as I can eat tomorrow and be safe.
But
that's what I
the
didn't see
lie.
coming.
But that's the lie. What people don't understand is that buys you that for now, but the
Oh,
next
of
step
course.
is to take that away
Oh,
from
of
you.
course.
The World Economic Forum says that you will own nothing and you will be happy about it.
like it.
If you don't own anything, I'm just going to break that down for you. They're going to take your stuff. So there'll be kind of like they have in China, a social credit system where
it's already
if
happening.
you don't, your digital currency just gets taken like that because it's digital now. It's not tangible. You know, if you hang out and go have a coffee with me, well, then you're on the naughty list now and you don't get food.
Yeah.
If you don't get your shots on time, you don't get food. They'll take that roof over your head away.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. It's not just speaking up for freedom during this moment and it's a little inconvenient. It's that although you'll do anything now to get that food, if you give them that power, they'll take that food and you'll be left with nothing except a
Well, that's
revolution.
it. I mean, it's one thing to do as they demand, or you will not eat, or you will not have shelter, or you will not have freedom to not be disparaged in culture, because they're also going to taint your dignity and your character as a person. You shouldn't show your face. You're shamed. Struggle sessions like they do in China. You know, we need to make you aware of what you've done and to bleed it out of your conscience that I was wrong and please forgive. When I see these people that just make a comment, a lot of celebrities, and then they're called out and they say, I'll do better. It's so
embarrassing.
sickening
I'm
to me.
embarrassed for them when
It
they
is
do
so
that.
sickening.
Because at the end of the day, I know who I am, and my value and my worth doesn't come from other people's opinions of me. It comes from God, and that's who I want to please.
Who is why they need him to be eliminated from the culture. And all totalitarian regimes pretty much are atheists. Why? You have to worship the state. You have to worship the state, because that's the only control you can have over a human being to release your autonomy. There has to be something bigger than you.
Right. That's why I tell people, you really, whether you're an atheist or any other different religion, you really need to get behind that phrase, one nation under God. Because if it's not under God, they'll fill in the blank with under man. And it may not be a man who lets you have the life you want to have. In fact, it's never going to be. You can study any example of communism and see that it never turns out well for the people. It always turns out great for the elite, never for the people.
The self-appointed elite, I might add.
Self-appointed, 100%.
Yeah. Bill Gates is now telling us that we can't eat meat.
If anyone is, when your child is sick, do you take it to like the Apple bar? I mean, you don't. Bill Gates does not have your best interest at heart.
So here's the struggle I have, Leigh Allen Baker Kaufman.
If you like Bill Gates, we're not going to be friends.
God, no. Which is my struggle. And I'm not kidding. I've said this in my comedy years ago. As a Christian, I'm forbidden to hate people.
Yeah.
But I'm commanded to hate ideas that are not God's. Yeah. That's different. The ideas, the words, the philosophies, the worldview, that is what I'm here to redeem as a believer, is to what is actually true as opposed to the false. Deny the false, despise the false, destroy the false, because it's killing people. So I have this obligation to pray for Bill Gates' salvation, which, by the way, if it happened, would be pretty amazing. Can you imagine if he said, hey, I've become a Christ follower. I'm going to use my money now to bring freedom back, and I'm buying a new
clean water.
Yeah, we're going. Yeah, you can eat meat now. I'm going to eat the crickets. I've decided that we're going to swap it out. If you think about what it could look like if it happened, that George Soros became a Christian. Yeah. You'd go, that'd be ridiculously impossible, but if it happened, think of the incredible ramifications. The truth is, I despise this man. I despise him because it's evil to control human beings. It's evil to have so much money that you can do anything you want. You can kill. I'm not saying he's killing, but who knows? I mean, people die from the ideas. People died from not being given ivermectin during this corona. That is true. That's a crime against humanity. Nobody will suffer for that because the left owns the DAs. They own the legal system. They own the narrative.
They own the media. They own the education
so they will never.
Entire board of Trivial Pursuit.
Yeah, every time we watch somebody get indicted, that's a conservative, and then you get the left literally doing it in your face. These mayors that are just corrupt all over. Nothing happens because you're not going to. They're saying we will reward you anything you want as long as you're in our club. And so that's when you have no justice, you have anarchy, and you have a broken, evil world because God created a balance for the earth. There is justice, and without it, there is no freedom. And so what I'm watching, and I didn't know that would go so far into the corona, though it's the closest analysis of what's happening to humanity that we can all understand and agree to. And it was interesting, you said my One Small Little Voice book is kind of referencing that, in an interesting way, but important. Uncle Tom's Cabin referenced slavery, and it changed the slavery. So there's nothing wrong with that thing. I made a point about bringing up that last phrase you did, and not in any way to discount the value of it. What I was trying to explore was in a broken-hearted way, is people aren't, the average person isn't courageous. So what does that mean? Does it mean we are lost, or is there a way to find or reinstate courage into humanity? Now, because the left is creating a balkanization of America, tribalism, running rampant, destroying things, putting different groups in a place where they're given a freedom to run rampant illegally and not be put into prison for it. So it creates resentment in people who are watching themselves be victimized and not being protected, and they're the ones that get in trouble.
Well, eventually people will learn to be courageous.
Well, and that would be the hope, is that they would. We have to learn how that works, and what do you do when the institutions are the control. We always assume we can outvote somebody. Well, what if you can't vote? Well, we always assume at least we have the Constitution. What if the Constitution is being ignored? What does the citizen do? Well, I have a First Amendment right. Yeah, I'm just overturning that. Anybody going to help me? No. So if the law is discarded, that's all you have. So now I have no place to go back to as true north and saying we all have to remember the rules. We all get to have to play by the same rules. We don't. So that's what I'm kind of trying to explore, is how do we re-inspire those? And you are right. I've talked to plenty. I've talked to plenty of Christians who sought God and took a vaccine, did all the stuff, and regret it, and are deeply ashamed and deeply heartbroken because
a lot of people are really forced into it, and they're left with this feeling of their body being forced to do something that they didn't want to do. All I can say is hopefully live and learn. And I do believe that I know that more people stood up. When I spoke at that school board meeting, it was the first school board, and that video went viral. And then after
the Williamson County, or were you in LA?
Williamson County. And then after that, it was every parent at every school board meeting not being afraid to speak up of every different race, religion, economic background. We all have that in common, that we want to stand up and protect our kids.
And you had vaccine-injured children, so you have a very existential reason beyond just
I have a very
philosophy. You're going.
I had a medical exemption for them since they were babies.
Somebody, shoots your kid. You're going. I don't want to go to that area anymore because they shoot people. So you had that happen to you. Well, one of the things I wanted to discuss, and the book is the key, and people are going to buy the book and they're going to recommend the book. And I want to talk about brave books in general because it's a cool idea, and it clearly is somebody trying to find a way to get good ideas into the minds of the next generation. So of course we're going to talk about that, but I don't know that it's going to be as helpful if we don't go backwards a little bit into the depth of how we even got here so we can understand what the fight actually is. Now, you have a very specific history in that you're an artist, a performance artist, you're an actress, and so you have seen the dark side. Now, it's an easy go-to to just say Hollywood, Hollywood, Hollywood. We're now seeing things coming out that seem so deeply disturbing, as in Satanism, as in pedophile ring. That seems so absurd
that the brain
they
almost
can't
process
be
it.
true.
Yeah.
They can't be true because it's evil.
Mm-hmm.
Evil. It's always with children, the innocence.
Well, my experience in that world was really had to do with the medical field and the vaccines. When I realized that my children had been injured, and it was acknowledged by the doctors that they had been injured, and I found exactly what they went through in the Merck pharmaceutical manual. Thank you, Merck, for actually putting in this as a dangerous reaction and side effect.
For what vaccine?
You can't tell, but sometimes they give them 10 at a time.
But which one did Merck reference had side effects that were dangerous?
I think it was DTaP.
Okay. And what's that supposed to do?
Diphtheria, tetanus,
okay,
pertussis.
Okay.
Like they tell you, you can't have your child eat more than one food at a time to try it, but they put all these different vaccines into one vial, and that has never been studied for safety ever.
Mm-hmm.
They can sit there and tell you that one vaccine has been studied for safety and efficacy, but they cannot tell you that 10 of them, 8 of them, 3 of them, 5 of them put in one injection or given to a little body that's 2 months old at the same time, what that effect will be.
Yeah.
They did not study that. And the reason that they say things, and I'm not here to lecture people on Western medicine, there are some things that you need to learn about that.
You do. I got to tell you.
Like a baby gets the same dose as you do.
Yes. I got to say to you, in my, my wife, and she's more in your camp of way taking the extreme, and maybe what we're finding is the extreme is the norm, but in all of these areas, and I do believe there needs to be a balance. We always have to be careful because we're seeking truth. Well, not just what we want to be true or what we feel is true.
Yes.
But the more you kind of observe what's actually is happening, when Robert Kennedy Jr., who comes from a very obviously liberal, and of course liberal used to be the bad word. I'll take a liberal all day long now. It's the left, it's the progressives that are the death knell of the West because they're leftism, they're Marxists. So they destroy West. The liberal allowed you to have a different point of view. You could actually have a debate with Nixon and Kennedy, and you could choose which one of these ideas you liked the best, and one would wear makeup and the other didn't. That's costly, but he didn't know showbiz. The thing about Robert Kennedy Jr., who clearly I would not have given the time of day to, because I'm not a Democrat. He's old school, so he's more when they were sane, but he's talking your language.
It's facts. I mean, it's facts.
So what do you think about him, though?
So I have very little trust for anyone.
Yeah.
This comes from, I was getting ready to tell you that when I went to the doctor and they acknowledged that my kids had vaccine injuries, not only did I realize they don't want to help, like they don't want to study kids who have had reactions or adults and help and make them safer. They have zero
Counterproductive to making money.
And then you go forward and you learn, not only do they not want to fix it, it's done intentionally. I mean, if you really neurologically, physically harm and injure an entire generation, that really weakens your country now, doesn't it?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. As bad as that is, and it is because it's happening every day. There's kids right now getting vaccines.
Mm-hmm.
When they do the same injuring with philosophy, with ideology, with now we have young girls getting mastectomies and mutilating their bodies.
And I just want to be clear, like when it comes to any kind of medical, I'm not your doctor.
Yeah.
You're free to do what you want to do. I'm here that you have the choice. But once you give that choice over to the government, it's over. You don't get a choice anymore. You've got to hang on to that bodily autonomy. It's literally all we have left.
Well, I'm not a doctor either, but if you have a 13-year-old girl that wants to have her breasts removed,
That's a problem.
don't do it. I'm sorry. I'm going to make a call for you.
That is not, if you're an adult, been given informed consent, which most of them have not, most of them are not told you will be on a basket full of medication for the rest of your life. This will be a very painful procedure that may not work, and it may not change those feelings that you have inside anyway.
It's not going to change it.
Right. So they're not told that. I feel bad for them. They are victimized. They're a victim
and they're
of this.
kids, so they're just...
And when they're doing it to children, to me, that's just a no. It's a hard no.
When you go through puberty, especially a girl, it's all... If you notice that when the contagion, the social contagions really explode, and they do it in waves, cutting, you'd eat and purge.
Oh, like bulimia?
Bulimia.
I'm an actress. I know these things.
I did a whole book on bulimia. Believe me. My point is these very sort of emotional and mental states of angst usually are by far in females. Because you're more emotionally driven, you're more concerned about what people think of you, how people see you. You desperately need affection. You desperately need affirmation. So if somebody says, listen, you're really a boy, but everybody's going to tell you how wonderful you are because you're going through puberty and you don't feel good about yourself, which is what it means to go through puberty. I'm a kid turning into adult. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this. As a little girl who's getting adult parts.
That's terrible.
Where they're going to be looked at as, and they don't know they can't help it. So in some ways it probably feels out of control, like I'm being a mutation. Is that because they're just kids that are being seen as women and as adults. So they don't know how to navigate that well. Nobody ever has in history. And they're told, I can make all those feelings go away.
Yeah. Wrong.
But they're going to say that I'm in.
It's awful. It's more than that, actually.
And why don't the parents say, I can't do this to you. I'm here to protect you.
One of the social experiments and psychological experiments that they've put kids through is called Wit and Wisdom in Tennessee. It's critical race theory. So they really primed it with that. And so what they said is, if your skin is black and darker, then you are a victim. You will never succeed. You can only trust someone who looks exactly like you. What a horrifying thing to say to someone who has their whole life ahead of them and the world is their oyster. And if you're white, your skin is light, then you're privileged. You've always been an abuser. You will always be an abuser. There's nothing you can do to be a good person. They primed it with that. Then they came in with, but if you're one of these things, that makes you unique and special. And you get parties, and you get a flag that has rainbow colors, and you get sprinkles, and you get a unicorn birthday cake, and everybody loves you.
And nobody's allowed to not love you.
That is my problem with it. I have a problem with that.
Well, you should, because you're sane.
I have another problem, though, that is maybe you may not agree with this on. I have a problem with giving people that the government has classified to be in a special group and giving them their own flag.
Why would I have a problem with that?
Okay, here's my problem with it.
Okay.
My problem with it is this. That they're lying to you saying that you're special. They're giving you that flag to segregate you and separate you. Yeah. And separate us all into groups. If you're gay, if you're straight, no matter what color your skin is, no matter what religion you are, if you live in the United States, we're under the same flag. You have a flag. Yeah. It's red, white, and blue with stars and stripes. Yeah. And you are allowed to make your choices and live freely and be loved and be able to thrive in abundance under that flag. Yeah. So
but unfortunately, that same flag gives people permission to disagree with you. And if you think that the flag means that you cannot be inconvenienced, that you cannot be made to feel uncomfortable, then you don't care about freedom. You say you do. I want everybody to be treated equally, but you don't, because you're treating people that disagree with you unequally. So either be truly committed to your idea of equity, everybody gets the same, which has never happened in human history. It won't. But I'm just saying, if that's your philosophy, Are you treating people that disagree with you the same? If you're not, you don't believe in it at all. So you are a liar. You are privileged because nobody can disagree with you. And yet you claim somebody's privileged. Now, why do we say that? Because systemic narcissism isn't going to help you. It's not going to free you. And what we care about is you get free. And that's hard. It's not easy. Speaking of hard and not easy, as an actress who wanted to go to Hollywood and see if you could stake your little flag and say, I'm in the game. And you did. You did it. It's a very difficult business. To ever be able to make an actual living on a regular basis as an actor is incredibly rare. There's lots of people that work a lot, but still have to keep trying to get another gig. The guys that just sit at home and just have people send them scripts and they say, yeah, I'll do it. Here's how much I want. Is like 1% of 1%. I mean, they're the ridiculous elite. But for the most part, you made a living as an actor, and that's hard to do. So God bless you for that. So, but here's one thing I kind of wanted to ask you about. So one of the people that you were involved with, one of the shows you were with regularly was Will and Grace. And, well-written show, well-acted show, funny show, good show. I'm going to be very honest right now. I never watched an episode. I don't watch a lot of sitcoms anyways. I didn't really watch it, but I would get a vibe of what it was about. I was like, I'm not really interested in that thing. So here's what I want to ask you, though, and it's not really off topic, but it's important. As a Christ follower, how do we assess our giftedness? And this happened to me as an actor, and not nearly as successful as you, but I've done a lot of stuff. But what you learn very quickly is, holy smoke, there's going to be a lot. If I want to work and a lot of opportunities are given to me, there's going to be a lot of times that it's going to be stuff that I don't want to say, stuff I don't agree with, scenarios that I'm not comfortable.
Brad, I get this question a lot.
I'm curious about how you navigated
because it's called acting.
Yeah.
Like, I played a murderer. I have not murdered someone. I do not have the heart of a murderer. I would not murder someone.
So you didn't go out and just do your work and try to experiment, just so you know what like you don't do method.
No, I'm not method.
Okay.
No.
So you didn't shoot.
And also, I know I've gotten that a lot. I've gotten a lot of people question my faith because I did. I know you're not.
I'm not doing that at all. I'm asking, how did you choose to navigate this difficult scenario?
Yeah, well, Will and Grace was a fantastic script. It was a hilarious show. And the majority of the people on it were really pleasant people to work with. There are a few that had some serious attitudes, which is why the show is no longer in production and ended. I've had people question my walk with Christ, though. You're not doing that, but people have, because I did Will and Grace. I stand by that show. It was very funny. And in this world, God has given us free will. And so that means that my fellow human beings, I'm called to love them as my neighbor, and they are allowed to experience their free will just as I am mine. Doesn't matter if we disagree on certain things. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And that's where the country's been broken, is they've segregated us all into all these different categories so that there is no one standing in the gap.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to do. I want to stand in the gap.
Yeah. No, I understand that. I was working in comedy clubs, and I was clean, and I would have odd little things. And you would work with comics, and they would put you up in a condo or something. So you'd be with them. You don't know them, but for a week because you're the three comics. And we would have conversations. We had God conversations, and we had race conversations if it was a black guy or whatever. And I said, here's what I believe. Here's what I stand for. Here's what I'm. So I'm the last guy you have to worry about questioning your motives. It was literally a practical decision.
But I'm glad you brought it up because
let me give me an example. So when I was in class in Hollywood, I was trying to learn how to do it and how to break down scripts and break down your character and all the stuff that an actual trained actor has to know if they're going to compete, because there's great actors out there. And if you haven't done the work, you're not going to get it. Because there's too many good people and that know how to do this right. Well, there were scenes I would do. There were scenes with women where there was kissing or there was fondling or whatever, but it was part of, and it could be in a joke. I don't even mean it was, but I'm married.
Right.
And so I remember thinking, this is back in the 90s, I remember thinking, I'm playing a character. This is a person that pretends to be this thing. And it'd be like if I have to be a Christian that can't play evil, then why do you allow non-Christians to play Jesus? Like most of the Jesus, not Caviezel, but most of the Jesus characters over history, they weren't Christians. So why do you watch that and get anything out of it? That Christian didn't play Jesus. You shouldn't get any value out of that. No, I'm playing this character, and the character speaks for himself. The second thing about acting, you never judge your character. If you're Hitler, you think you're doing the right thing because that's who you are.
You have to see the humanity in
yes, and if you can find it, or at least fake it, because that's what they were trying to do, is justify their evil. Because they don't think it's evil. But my point was, there came a point where I was trying to understand what to do. I got this student film, and I had to say a curse word. And it didn't bother me. It's like, I'm not them. I'm playing this guy who does that. I got to go to, it was on location. I went to do this thing, and I remember thinking, you know, you've made a living being a clean comic and built a fan base because of that. It's like, now you're going to do this thing, you're going to say this word. Are you in a way betraying what you've established? Like, I don't have to compromise my faith and still be able to be in comedy clubs, not in churches, in clubs, where it's effing this and effing that, and be clean and be funny. And so I went to the director and said, hey, what if this guy said this instead of that? And I was trying, it was kind of manipulation, but it was using an actor technique about, I think he would actually do it like this. And he said, well, that's interesting. Let's try it. And so he said, we'll film them both. I'll choose. Well, so you assume they choose the bad thing. But my point was this, Leigh Allen. I realized you better figure this out because you're going to have this happen a lot in your life now. And I realized to myself, it's like, here's what I think is the answer for me. It's not what is this character doing, because there's evil people on earth. And you can't show redemption if you can't show evil. Do you believe in the story? If somebody saw this movie when it's finished, or this show, do you believe what it says and what it's talking about, you feel comfortable with? You'd want your family to see. You'd want somebody to see. Years from now, when you're dead, this is going to live forever. Do you want this story told that you're associated with? And that was a helpful way for me to discover, if I were to get a script or something and say, I don't want to tell the story, then I'm going to say no. So I just was curious.
For me, it was more if I was uncomfortable with something. Like, I got a lot of offers. I think we talked about this last time after Good Luck Charlie. A lot of people were interested in seeing the mom from Good Luck Charlie naked and doing all sorts of lascivious acts. I mean, so I got a lot of really crazy, stupid offers, and I would just say pass. Like, I just wasn't interested.
You would never have done any nudity.
I wouldn't do what they were asked. No.
But would you? And I'm only asking because I'm thinking of Rene Russo, who is Christian, from what I understand, who had it was a remake of a Steve McQueen film. I forgot what it was. Anyways, she had to be topless for a second, and she was a Christian. I don't know her. I just heard it, and she went to her pastor like, and I don't remember what to think, but she did this. She did the same. So my point was, Denzel Washington, total believer, will not do sexual material, but he'll curse up a storm, baby. He will say whatever words you want to do.
Whatever he feels comfortable.
So that's what I was curious about. And I wasn't trying to put you on the spot or make it weird.
I have kids. I have kids.
Yeah.
I have no interest. I just have no interest. And also, I mean, I think one of the ways that I protected myself from that is that although I could do drama with my eyes closed, I feel that a lot of comedians can do drama. It's very easy to do drama if you can do
I prefer
comedy.
Drama over comedy.
It's so much easier.
I just enjoy going deep and dark in here.
I don't. I like it to be light and funny and raw and hilarious. I like funny better.
Do you want to know why I think I do? Because I struggled with feelings. I've struggled with allowing myself to feel things because of pain in my life.
Right.
And it gave me permission to go places that I couldn't do in real life.
Sure.
So I use that as a catalyst to feel things that I mean, I'm getting better and God's helping me and honing me in that regard and help me get to that place. But to me, it was a way to feel.
And I think for me, it was the opposite. I feel everything all the time in a nanosecond. I mean, by the time my husband has answered my question, I've gone from here to here and all my feelings and back again, right?
Yeah.
So my feelings are so prevalent that it's fun sometimes to just laugh it off.
Yeah, no,
Laugh
it's
at it,
it's fun to be. I just did one that came out this last Christmas, and I got to play a character that could just run wild and be improvised and fun. And it's fun to be funny and just to be silly and get a bunch of. I'm in a low budget film, so you don't get a lot of takes, but you get to have a few what they call wild takes where they just see what happens and maybe we'll use. So that was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun. But I guess because I'm a comic, so I'm used to laughs and stuff, I find more interest in the other stuff because I don't get to do that as often, perhaps. So I guess I wasn't trying to kind of land in this space, but it's interesting since we're here. Do you think there is a place for a Christian actor or actress for nudity that would be consistent with their faith? Is there a place for that?
Look, I don't know. I can't answer that for another actor. I mean, honestly, we don't wear our clothes when we get into a bathtub. I mean, there's
Right.
practicality of it, but there's
Right.
also ways to shoot around everything.
Right. And they always did.
And
In
yes.
the 30s,
Yes.
when I grabbed the girl and walked her through the door and shut what was going. I don't have to listen. A married sexual relationship God said is sacred and beautiful, and enjoy it and have a blast, and you even might make a human out of it. It's the most amazing, crazy thing to do, and enjoy every bit of it. But I don't ask the neighbors to come watch.
Correct.
It's a private thing.
Yes.
And so I think that's where it seems odd to me, because you're showing an intimate moment that isn't normally privy to everybody
I not
to watch.
only don't want to do those moments, I really don't want to watch those moments.
No.
I don't have an interest.
It's icky.
But I'm not going to also sit here and judge other actors for their choices that they make.
I just was curious as how they, and I don't even mean this condemning, how do they justify that thing? They had to have a conscience examination as to why they said this will work for me. And
well, it's the same reason that people are afraid to speak up. People are afraid to state the obvious when it's uncomfortable. Right? They just are. I don't know what that is. To me, it's a dishonoring of the other person. To me, if you can't be honest and state the truth, it's disrespectful to other people. It's saying, it's very egotistical. It's saying, I don't trust that you can handle what I have to say. So I'm going to sugarcoat or not say or just go along with. When I feel like if I speak the truth, it's up to you how you want to handle that.
Mm-hmm.
Your response is up to you. And I trust that you'll handle it how you see fit.
Well, and people care about how they're perceived. People care about if they're liked, if they're approved, if they're part of the group. I don't want to lose this relationship, this friendship, my dignity, my ability to be part of the human experience and be allowed my options. And it's something you said earlier, but it's the only way a believer can navigate this authentically. It's not a platitude. So much American Christianity is platitudes. We're so good at amens, but we're not good at being men. We're not good at living hard. We're good at saying you should take care of the poor. Amen. We should live a disciplined life. Amen. Okay, now it's time to do that. Oh, I didn't know how to do it. I just cannot just amen it, because then it shows that I'm virtue signaling within the church. Yeah. So I'm if you understand that you are working for an audience of one,
yeah, that
God decides who you are, why you were made, what you're here for, and He is watching to see, will you please me? Mm-hmm. Will you honor me, so that when we meet soon, I can say, well done, daughter.
Yeah,
you're done.
Mm-hmm.
Move on in. And that's so easy to accept and understand. But when we're faced with another fellow human, we want their approval. We want them to say we're okay. We don't want to be demeaned. We don't want to be insulted. We don't want to be, you're a nice person and you worked hard and you would be loving and kind to people.
Always.
And yet, because you had a different point of view, they despised you.
That's okay.
And mocked it. It is okay in that you're so within your own skin, your own countenance, you're okay with it. That's the mature believer. But it isn't okay. It hurts.
It hurt for a day, and then I was over it.
Betrayal. These are people you worked with. These are people that you were close to.
I'll tell you, I've not told anybody this. This is probably the one thing that hurt me the most is a cast member that has known me for 14 years, knows my heart. Not only did none of them stand up for me when this happened, Lori Loughlin was spent time in jail. She apparently committed a crime for
the getting her
fraud
kid
thing.
in for the
And when they asked her cast what they thought of her, they said, "We know her heart, we love her, we don't know the situation, but we stand by her." All I did was literally say, "I'm so thankful to be here, and you don't have the right to make these decisions because these books guarantee my freedom to breathe oxygen," and was labeled all sorts of horrible things for it. Not one of them stood up for me, not once. And in fact, one of them unfollowed me and started cropping me out of Good Luck Charlie photos and tagging everyone in the cast except me. Meanwhile, this person continued a text with me like, "Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. Everything's fine," acting like everything was fine. So in other words, that is to me, that's a show of cowardice. Like, you don't have the courage to say what you really believe because you're so afraid of what others may say about you. To me, if someone says something about me, then I'm sorry, they've gotten the wrong story, because if they knew my heart and they knew me, what's not to love? They would love me.
Yeah. You're friends with people that think just like you. How boring.
I think it's really sad, actually. I think that they are truly brainwashed into thinking, like, I had one that they actually said something that was so ironic, like, "We're from the party of peace and love, and we hope that you die and your ugly kids die too." I was like, well, have a nice day. I don't. I hope you thrive and have a life living in abundance. Because we're so conditioned in this world to think that if someone does better, then that means we're doing badly. And if we can get someone to do badly, that means we're doing better.
Right.
And that's not the reality. I like to look at it in terms, this is how I explain it to my kid, because it gives a really clear visual in terms of weight. I've always struggled with my weight. I've always had a very sluggish metabolism. Here's the fact. I have friends that are very skinny and friends that are overweight. Whether this friend that's overweight loses 50 pounds or gains 50 pounds doesn't affect my weight. Whether this skinny person gains 50 pounds or loses 50 pounds doesn't affect my weight. So you have to look at life like that. I want other people to thrive and succeed. You know what it does? It shows me that I can too, because we're all human.
Well, and that's kind of what this book was, I think, was you're talking about, you mentioned Brave Books. So let's start with that. Who are they?
So Brave Books is a publishing company that has developed this kind of freedom island where they're really making content that doesn't indoctrinate children. Really, it's Judeo-Christian values and morals. And they're great stories teaching children to be brave. That it's never okay to let someone take your freedom. There's lots of different lessons. They have one lesson from Culture the Vulture, who tells an elephant who can sing beautifully that because he sings beautifully, he must be a bird.
Okay.
It's a brilliant book. It's really good.
Is that Matt Walsh?
I don't know no, I don't think Matt did that one. No.
Okay. I thought he did something to do with.
He may have done a book for them, but they've had a lot of guest authors. But they're also.
And you literally write the book from scratch? I mean, it's your story, or do they kind of give you a little bit of an outline? You make it your words.
It's different with different authors. I am a very hands-on involved person, so I was involved from the conception to writing every word and adjusting and fighting over. This was a big fight in it when my princess was struggling and knew that she had to fight her fear and just make a choice to be courageous. Like there was nothing more to it than I'm going to do it. I'm going to knuckle down and I'm making a choice to do the right thing. A lot of the look was really like sweet and like doe-eyed. And I was like, no, she needs to have some grit. She needs some grit.
Yes.
So I'm very involved with all of it. And now, as it turns out, I'm also producing a television series for kids for them. So Kirk Cameron is starring in it. Good. And I'm going to
as an animated, so it's VO stuff?
No, it's a live action, kind of a Mr. Rogers meets Sesame Street with biblical values.
Cool.
And it's really great. I would really trust any kids to watch this to get a good grasp on how we behave in life, how we handle conflict.
Well, here's an interesting, sort of double-edged sword we need to mention. Okay, so here's the TV show. Obviously, sounds amazing because to have platforms where these ideas can exist in the ethers, and people have an option to see something that has some redemption and some beauty and some specialty. This is what I wanted to comment about your book. It's kind of bittersweet because it's beautiful and it's important. and it has courage and morality and virtue. I mean, not signaling, but actual virtue, living in a virtuous life where you do stand alone if necessary, because that's what it means. Not only to have agency and autonomy as God has given us, but to show what courage looks like. There is no value to courage if we never see it implemented, if we never see anybody showing us what it does, because we always get great inspiration from those people. We see it and we're like, oh, look what they did, and they stood alone. Isn't that great? But it's like, well, it's your turn. Now you do that thing. And that was what I meant by bittersweet, is that it's a book that's necessary, and it's so sad that book is necessary. Because that used to be what would be expected from any kid's book.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's weird that it's a novelty there are not many books like that.
And that what we now hear as virtue signaling, a counterfeit, a mask, a projected pretend version of what virtue is all that's necessary, as opposed to the integrity of actually living a virtuous life.
Right.
Which means, what do you do when nobody sees? What do you do on your own? What do you do by yourself? That's who you really are. Mm-hmm. And so tell me about one small little voice, a little thumbnail sketch. It's about a princess.
It's about a princess who's born in a musical town where everyone plays an instrument. Everyone is musical in Barry Cantor. And she's finally born, and her mother always sings her this lullaby. One small little voice, it starts with a spark. A world full of choice, so light up the dark. A lamp at your feet to guide you along. If ever you fear, then just sing this song. And that's kind of the song of Barry Cantor. But when she's born, she fails at everything. She can't play an instrument. Oh. She can't do anything. The only thing she can do, she's so scared to speak that all she can do is give out a slight little hum.
Okay.
And so the evil Scylla from Domatron, it's one of their islands, the kids that follow these books know it well, comes in and sprays this purple fog that wilts the plants and takes over the town. And everyone hides in fear as the town is in complete array and decay. And she is so scared, she's hiding under a table crying, and she starts singing that song that her mom sings her. And she notices that with her voice, it starts to clear the fog. So she runs to the center of town knowing what she has to do, but she sees that no one is there. No one is there to stand with her. No one is there to play music with her, to speak with her, to fight this with her. Everyone is locked away in fear in their home. So she takes a deep breath and she musters all the courage she can, and she just makes a choice to belt it out. And she belts out this song, and the fog disappears, and everyone else comes and joins and follows her and plays music and celebrates.
And was it your idea, or did they say, here's what we want you to talk about, now put it in your words?
This was my idea.
Nice. And you're saying they're making a particular series out of it now?
No, not out of this. It's a different series.
Okay.
So this, I would love for them to make a series out of, we're talking. But I'm producing a television series for them that is separate from my book. Although what each of the episodes does is it reads one of the Brave books.
Okay.
Kirk Cameron will read one of the Brave books, and that will be the lesson that is taught in that book, will be the lesson that is threaded through that episode for kids. And it's got a really great puppet, Iggy the Iguana, and Mr. Kirk is really representing the Mr. Rogers character.
So when he reads it, that's the show, or will they show like maybe photos of the book, or will they show animated things?
The book will be animated when he reads it, but the entire show isn't. That's a small part of the show. Okay.
What would you like to use, a pen or like a marker? Do
you have a Sharpie back there?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, bring it on.
Wyatt, by the way, part of our gig is he never is seen on camera.
What? So I'm privileged to know what Wyatt looks like?
Very few people have ever seen.
Okay, good.
They wonder. But here's what we're going to do, folks. So listen, this is very special. She is going to sign, Leigh Allen, 3 of these books, and you guys are going to win them. You're going to win them first by this. The first person that says, if you saw it, what was your favorite episode of Good Luck Charlie? What was the part you most remember her that you thought was the funniest or the most interesting? And she's going to judge it. Because once we see you all, and most of you are going to say, "I'd never heard of this show," because you don't have children, or you didn't watch Disney, or you came up before or after that time. But those who make the most, the funniest, and what you most memorable series, and she will say, "I like that one. That was a good one," and then you'll win it. Come on. Give them something. Give them a task.
You have to follow me on Instagram. Where they love to shadow ban me.
There it is.
They love it. So if you go, you can Google me, and I have it check name by my name on Instagram. You can just Google Leigh Allen Baker, and it'll say all sorts of nasty things about me.
So the first person on this thread that says, "I just followed you,"
yes,
wins
and
the book.
if you go to L_A_Baker. _13, because there were so many Leigh Allen Bakers.
Yeah, you really wanted to make that as
I made that
incredibly
as difficult as possible.
That's why you don't have followers. They're not banning you. Nobody can figure out.
I have almost 1 million followers. You can't say that. With all my platforms, I have well over 1 million. But yeah, no, my viewership went from like millions and minimal 250,000 to 55 million.
Yes.
For a reel to like.
The last one, there's 3 books, is that you're going to ask her a question. Now, again, this is all on the thread, and there'll be lots of questions, and don't feel bad if you weren't picked, but she's going to pick the one she finds the most interesting, and when she picks that, we'll talk about that, and then we'll send you a book. So it gives you 3 reasons to get a book. Maybe you have grandkids. Maybe you have children. Who knows? Maybe you want it for yourself.
I just have to say that this story was written for kids and adults. Because although it's told in a very childlike, fun, beautiful, lyrical way with rhymes that are great, it's really what we need to do as adults. You need to get the subtext. The subtext is for mom and dad.
Yes.
Let's raise some brave kids. You know?
Listen, a story is a story.
Yeah.
Even Aesop's fables or any of the sort of children-ish stuff had a deeper meaning. They were just trying to make it accessible to everybody in every age and so forth. And that's the most easiest way, just what Jesus did.
That's right.
Had parables and told stories, and it's like, I'd love to give you this deep insight right now, but you won't get it. But what if I told you a story? There was a guy once, that's really the thing. And I think I want to tell you, I think we're going to quickly do this. For my subscribers, those who are part of the militia of the mind and the mighty 10,000 Christians that are absolutely, completely and committed to being disciples, to live a community where we're going to live this and pray and believe and see if God will intervene and give us a third great awakening in this nation. It's growing. Just go to bradstine.com, sign up, and you can be part of it. $3 a month, but it allowed me to have not only special guests, but special things like this to happen so that we can grow and become believers that are fighting the good fight. So I'm going to ask the subscription question, which means if you didn't subscribe, you don't get to see this question. So that's what happens when you're not committed. It's all on you. Not only that, God told me he's sending locusts. So you can laugh, but that's what it is. So I'm going to ask you a question. I want you to tell me the most interesting or funniest experience you can recall with whether it was on Will and Grace or any stuff, something like that would be interesting to people, like, oh, I know that actor. Oh, that would be fun. Just a story maybe that isn't typical or something you've told before about just an experience that was so funny or comical that you never forgot it, and it might be something that people can relate to. So can you think of something that was kind of just a great story that you might tell every now and again when you've had a glass of wine?
Well, I have many of those, but I would say.
Well, tell one about. Hey guys, I'm interrupting my own interview. If you want the answer that you haven't heard yet, go to bradstine.com and join one of the 3 tiers. It is the militia of the mind, it is the warrior level, or it is the special forces. And then you'll get all kinds of special content and bonus answers to make you smarter than you could ever imagine. Go there now, jump on and join the mighty 10,000. I could barely get through this interview. I was getting so it was ridiculous.
See?
I endured. I gave you, but you're a woman of honor, and you're a woman of integrity, and you're a Christ follower, and you're my sister in Christ, and you're doing well. And I appreciate it because we need to see others doing it to inspire us when we get into the darkness, and we will. We'll get in the darkness too. We're not immune from it as believers. But what we have been taught is how to endure and be at peace in the darkness, which, by the way, is the only lesson you need. It's really the only lesson you need. Nobody needs to teach you how to be happy when you're happy. Nobody needs to teach you how to be grateful when you are. Nobody has to teach you how to feel full when your stomach's full. That's for everybody. The hard part of life is, what do I do when it's dark? What do I do when the cancer didn't go away? What do I do when the child dies? What do I do when the worst case scenario is mine? Because when you can find peace in that, when you can find purpose in that, when you can find endurance in that, when you can find beauty in the most ridiculously difficult time, then you've found your creator. Because he's given you those answers, and it's in Jesus Christ. He is the only way to heaven. That's how it works. The only one that proved it, the only one that did miraculous things to show that he was not a cult, but in fact God, the only one that was part of a prophetic utterance. Here's who will come. Here's what they'll look like. Here's what they're going to do. Of an ancient people that were kept together, the Jews, for thousands of years, and said, here's what Messiah will look like, the one that will finish the sacrifice and be the completed work, the New Testament. All of these ideas that are now coming to fruition, including the last chapter that's happening on our watch, is already written out a long time ago. Come know Jesus, and you will know what it means to know your Creator. And then you get to be brothers and sisters with us. What more could you want? You get to spend eternity with her and I, talking about, if we should be naked on camera, crazy things that aren't typically talked about in heaven. Certainly appreciate you always, young lady. You've been such an inspiration to all of us. Keep up the good work. Let's work together. Let's do some things together. I want to be in a book. I want to write a book. I want to do all those things, but they won't pick me. I'm a comic. Nobody wants me. But here's what I do know what they want. They want truth. They want liberty. They want freedom. They want religious liberty. They want to be able to defend themselves. They want a sovereign nation. They want to care about what is actually happening on earth, and not to hate others, but to stand for truth no matter what it takes. We need to not talk about courage. We need to be courageous. We need to not talk about Jesus. We need to be Jesus. We need to show what it looks like when people actually do this. And when you live the supernatural naturally, people will want to know what you got and join you. Remember what I've always said to you. Political correctness, or what has now become wokeism, is cultural Marxism. It's evil, it's dark. So when anyone ever says you're being politically incorrect, always say, thank you for the compliment. It means you actually believe in truth and reality. And it does mean also that you are courageous. Fight together. She's a Militia of the Mind member as well, or at least officially I'm making her one, and a part of the Mighty 10,000. This is what we're doing. We're aggregating believers from all walks of life to be one so that we can defend and protect each other as we go deeper into this crazy that's become the new reality. Let's see what God does. I'll bet you there's a third great awakening waiting for us if we believe he will show us mercy. Remember, folks, fight the good fight. Never give up. Go down swinging, because on the other side is where it's all about anyways. This is God's comic, Brad Stine. But Brad Stine has issues, and I'm just doing what I do. Putting the woke back to sleep. See you next Monday.